Before the video begins, I'd like to express my gratitude to everyone who has supported the channel and helping it grow. I'm sorry that my upload schedule has been a bit messed up lately due to me having my birthday last week, but we should be back on track. Anyways, let's head to the video. I was 16 when this happened. It was last summer and was very hot. I remember this vividly because it took place on July, on my boyfriend's birthday. He wanted to throw a party at his friend's house, which was almost 3 hours away. Keep in mind, most of the students at our high school either tagged along someone else's car or they simply took an Uber, which was my case. I didn't have a car or expected one at that age. On my boyfriend's birthday, I argued that someone comes to pick me up, but everyone was already there, so I had no choice but to Uber it. Fuck it, I said to myself. Oh, something that I regret to this day. Anyways, the Uber arrived and it was an old Honda Civic, unclean and obviously not in a good condition. I brushed it off and opened the door to get in the back seats. But the driver, a woman in her late 30s, told me to get in the passenger seats because the back seats are unclean. An instant red flag. I should have declined and canceled the ride, but I didn't. I got in the car already uncomfortable by the decision I made. We hit the roads and about 30 minutes in, I noticed that her phone that shows the map, it kept rerouting, meaning that she wasn't going exactly to the destination we were supposed to be headed to, or she was taking shortcuts. I took my phone out slowly from my pocket, making sure she doesn't see me. She immediately picked up on what I was doing and began asking me personal questions. Things like how old I was, where I'm from, shit like that. It was extremely creepy, and the roads were bumpy. We didn't even hit the highway at all. As soon as I pulled my phone out to see the app, she immediately ran her fingers on my thigh. God, the smile she gave me. I looked at her with terrified eyes and I remember fucking vividly every word she said. You're very beautiful. Her voice was a voice of a woman who smoked 5 packs a day for 8 years almost. I can't shake it off to this day. Her voice was still stuck to my head. As time went on, I was feeling completely hopeless. I knew this is it. I knew this is gonna be my end. She's going to kidnap me and I will die. All until, by some sheer fucking luck, a police car was driving by the side of the road. When it passed by us, I gestured with my hands as much as I could to them, hoping that they would catch on. The driver saw immediately what I was doing and slapped me. You fucking bitch! She kept hitting me while driving the car with her other hand until the police T-boned the car. The crash wasn't enough for any injuries, including the driver. It was just some small grass shards here and there. The cops arrived and arrested her. I was frozen in fear. Everything happened so quickly. I called my boyfriend to come pick me up, and he arrived. The cops did some questioning and we were eventually let go. The next morning, the news report came out about a serial killer who lures teenagers, then kidnaps them. The report said that they found 7 dead bodies, all of which belonged to teenagers who went missing. And when they showed her picture, it was the fucking woman. Ever since that day, I never take any public transportation. It's been 4 years and I drive my own car now. Safe to say, I'm much better mentally now. Alright, so this happened not to me, but to my closest friends back in college. So I'll type this in his perspective. It was 2006, not your classic Uber story, but I feel this story would be relevant since it was still a taxi incident that happened to me. Back then, technology wasn't as advanced as today. I was a college student and I loved partying,
back when MySpace and Facebook were still there. Anyways, we'd usually spend time in bars and get drunk, typical college shit. One particular night, I partied too hard and it was getting late. I needed to go home because I had got a deadline after tomorrow for a paper that I haven't even started working on. I lived in a city at a time, but at night there weren't many cabs to stop, until one particular one stopped. I told him where I needed to go in my drunken tone and got in. I didn't even wait to see if he'll take me to the place or even knows it. My drunken self just got myself in, without even confirming if it was a taxi to begin with. Big mistake. I should have at least been careful or at least asked, but I didn't, which led to the following consequences. Some time passes by. I was in a backseat laying asleep. After a while passing, I can't remember, probably a couple of hours, I woke up opening my eyes a little bit looking out the window, and I have no fucking clue where we're heading. So I asked the driver, and he doesn't answer. Red flags began playing in all over my 23-year-old fucking stupid head. I asked him to stop the car and put my hand on the handle, except that there wasn't a handle on the door. When I put my hands on the door, it was as though he took off the handle, meaning that the door can only be opened from outside. Whoever would be inside would never be able to get out. He looked at me through the mirror, shooting me a menacing look, sending shivers down my spine. I knew this isn't going to end well if I don't do anything. My young, naive mind kept playing all types of scenarios of what could possibly go wrong if I do anything. And I just kept remembering. To this day, actually, I still remember the thoughts that went through my head when I was in that damn car. If I don't do anything, I will die. If I don't do anything, I will die. It kept playing in my mind, and just remember this. I was a boxer and I was 6 foot tall. I can easily take her anyone, or as my naive self thought. I ran every possible event that I could take place, and only one of them actually worked in my head. I took a deep breath and then I reached for the steering wheel and drove us off the road. Eventually, it led to the car crashing. The driver didn't make it out, and I got out of the car feeling dizzy, feeling a few cuts from the windshield and the glass that shattered on my arm, and some came in my hair. The sun was rising and I hitchhiked my way back to town. The fucker was taking me out of state. Sometimes to this day I wonder what would have happened if I didn't wake up in that car. It would have ended very badly. I'm a retired Uber driver. I worked as an Uber for 3 years until I got a well-paying job and an established career. I decided to write this because I've had way too many terrifying experiences as an Uber driver, something that many people don't consider about us drivers, because we too can be in danger. In fact, there was a time where I almost nearly lost my life. I remember it to this day. It happened on a night when the new Joker movie came out. Crowds were everywhere and there was a lot of requests that night. After a long night of serving happy customers, I ended up encountering one last request. The destination was a bit far, but I saw that they'll pay more. My greedy mind wanted to make more money at the time, so I accepted the request. I went to the pickup point and saw there was only one woman standing under the street lights. She was dressed in worn-out clothes, but I couldn't make out exactly what she was wearing since it was still dark. When she opened the door and got in, the smell, God, the smell was awful, like as if she hasn't showered in weeks. But I tried to ignore it and I asked for her name to confirm the ride. Megan, that was her name. Her voice was raspy, but I didn't judge her too hard, so I brushed it off and we began to hit the road. It wasn't long until halfway to the destination and I noticed that there was another car following us the whole time. And when she looked back, her face turned pale. She immediately turned to me and shouted for me to go faster. I noticed that the car behind us hit my bumper all of a sudden out of the blue.
I remember this specifically because it sent shivers down my spine. I knew that Megan wasn't lying. I saw fear in her eyes through the mirror, and I didn't have any time to draw any conclusions. While driving, I pulled up my phone and I dialed 911 and stayed on the phone while driving. The operator said the cops will be on the way to the next checkpoint we'll pass by. What I saw next will never stop haunting me to this day. The car behind us has sped up enough and is now next to us. There was several men inside, and God, they looked terrifying. They were holding sharp objects and they had stitches on their faces. Their eyes were piercing through my soul. One of them even tried to throw the knife at the car tires, but obviously it was a failure. And the sounds they made, they were mostly inaudible, but they were growling and screaming. I've never been in such a situation before, let alone I knew that they will probably get us killed. All until the most relieving sound I heard. The sirens I heard from a distance. The sounds of my life getting saved. When we began to slow down, the car ran away and the police were chasing them. The other police car stopped by and, unfortunately, these men got away. The police interrogated Megan and she was under arrest for drug possession. But in a few days, actually, these supposed people were drug dealers, as it turned out, and she probably got caught up with them on bad terms. And when she ran away and ordered the Uber, that is where the whole nightmare begun.